Hello everyone, welcome back to another Indie Game Dev live stream. Thought I'd do a little continuation on what we were doing yesterday, so hope you all can hear me and see me alright. Actually, I'll check see if OBS is... Okay, sweet. Looks like I'm coming in. Hey everybody, how we all going? Sweet, I got my laptop once again set up over there, so if you hear the jet engine noise, that's what it is. It's a Metabox laptop. And they're notoriously loud, it seems. So, yeah, it shouldn't be too bad, though. But, yeah, so today we're sort of continuing off where we were last time. And we were doing custom input bindings for my game using blueprints. Now, I've done a bit more tweaking since then. And now, the next thing I'm trying to get is multiple input bindings for a single action. So this one here, this jump, this is sort of what we made yesterday. And I want to see if I can get it looking like this test input thing where it gives you like 2 or 3 like slots so you can have multiple keys bound to one action. So that's what I'm going to attempt and see if we can make some progress on it. I'm not expecting to make a lot, but I thought, you know, it'd be cool to just hang out with you guys while figuring things out. So yeah, I hope we're all... How are we all doing? Hope you're all doing cool. What brand is my headphone? Great question. These are, I think the logo's on the side, Bose's. They're like the noise cancelling ones. They're pretty good. I've had them for a few years. Pretty comfortable as well. I used to have a pair of Beats, and those weren't comfortable at all. They're also really cheap and break easy. Well, they're not cheap. They're ridiculous, but they're made cheaply. So yeah. So I guess we'll just get into the work. Now, I'll have a little image here, and this is sort of emulating what I'm gonna try and go after. So this is a screenshot from Apex Legends, and they basically have this sort of layout. So they've got a primary key you can assign and a secondary key. And the idea is I want to try and set up my setting to work in this sort of way. And yeah, I have a rough idea of how I might go about it, but I haven't done it before, so I'm going to be learning as I go. I've added a few little messy things here and there around from yesterday, and I'll show you what I've changed. So I have this test input, and this is what we used yesterday, and I've made it an array now instead of a singular input, meaning we should be able to use variables like this to map more than one keybind. And another idea I had was, instead of having to make them all variables like I have here, I'm wondering if perhaps there's a way to automatically populate a list like this with the keybinds that exist already, which I think is possible. And yeah, but firstly, we're gonna just try it with this test and see how we do, and see if we can map 2 keys to it. So let me look for my oh, where is it? I gotta find what widget I'm working on. Test input. So I think I've put 3. Okay, so I'll just get 2 at the moment, just to make things easy. And it's not compiling, which isn't good. That means something's broken. Oh, it's this. So we'll yeah, I've got a bit of a mess going on at the moment. I was just trying something out earlier this afternoon, and I haven't really cleaned anything, so it's all very rough. But yeah, so for those that weren't watching the last one, I'll show you how these things work, right? So where it says input test, this is basically, these 3 advanced options here are like my test settings that I use. And we have a test drop down, which we can turn on and off. We have a test float, which we can slide between 2 values. And we also have a test input map, which we got working yesterday, and we can map keys to it. So I can map whatever action I want to these, and it'll save it. I think in most cases it saves, but not every case. For example, see how this input test, this second one doesn't assign, which is what we're going to figure out today. But the first one assigns just fine, so I can set this to Y, go back, and then it's still there. And if you don't believe that it saves, I'm going to exit this scene altogether and go back to the main menu, and you see it's still set to Y. So it saves and loads pretty well. The only glitch we had is that if you do it once, it won't save. So you have to do it, you have to press it and then do it again, and then it saves. Which I haven't gotten around to fixing yet, but that'll be for later. I think the main thing at the moment is just seeing if I can get 2 inputs mapped to 1. And then as for controllers, I've seen a lot of games do different things, but it seems most games have a separate thing, like a controller preset panel, which I might look into doing. And I think there's technical reasons for that, but I won't go into that at the moment. For now, we're just gonna figure out what all this is gonna be like, I guess. Let's see. I'm just gonna remove some of these because I just want it working with 2. I was gonna try doing 3, but I think that's a little bit excessive. And seeing as most, like, this is a pretty popular game, it uses 2. So I thought, hey, well, primary, secondary, it's pretty simple. And I doubt many people would need more than 2. But yeah, thanks for stopping by, guys. I have no idea, because I know most of my viewer base, I think, is in California. So it's always kind of tricky to line up my time because I'm in Australia. So I never know if it's convenient or not, but I appreciate you stopping by. Alright, so what was this for? I might get rid of that. Alright, so here I've modified it so it actually works with an array. With that variable. So what I might start doing is looking at this thing, and I'm wondering, because it's going to be interesting. I'm curious of another idea, because I think I just mentioned it a few minutes ago, but if we go up to project settings, you can see there are actually a list of inputs in action mappings, for example. Like, those all exist. And you can return that list as a variable. And I'm curious, can we automatically populate a list of keybinds instead of having to read and write from the file? And I'm very curious about that. So we might give that a go, I guess. But to get that working, I'm not sure if we'll have to do anything weird with this test setting. Because if we want to auto-populate them, we'd have to basically auto-populate it with one of these. So one of these for each input. And that might be a little tricky, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. Let's just in this current form see if we can get it. So I'll get rid of some of these. I'll show you, well, I don't know, I actually haven't tried the second one yet. Okay, so that won't do anything. I don't know if it's the loading or saving yet, so, well, let's clean up some of these first, because these look messy. So I'm going to move my comment bubbles out of the way, and see if I can clean this up. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure what kind of progress I plan on making, but we'll just see what ends up happening. But I don't think I will be staying up as late as last time, because that sure took its toll. So yeah, I'm trying my best as well to keep it on the chat window, because it's kind of difficult when I've got just I've really only got one screen, so I've got my laptop here as the other one. I thought, hey, I gotta do some dev. Thought maybe you guys want to watch through it. Alright, so this looks kind of messy. I'm wondering if there's something we can do here to make it look better. I guess it looks alright. Excuse me. Okay. Oh, that's better. So I just want to make it very clear what's going on in here, I suppose. That's one of the main reasons I spend so much time organizing. So people can read it and go, aha, that's what he's doing. I might clean up the second half while I'm here, actually. Okay. This is making a little more sense to me now. It's just, I don't know if there's a better way we can clean this or not. I guess we'll plug that there. Oh, that works, yeah. I'll just maybe move it out just an inch. Yeah. Alright, so what's going on here? Actually, oh, there's still a bit of... let's maybe get this, put that over here, so it's not overlapping. Alright, so what's going on at the moment with this is that it's basically the same logic as last night, except now it uses an array. So it's going to take the first... So I've got two input key selectors, and it's going to take the first one. It's going to make an array out of them, and it's going to take... I'm going to focus on this bottom root here first. So it's going to take them, and for each of those selectors, it's going to get a variable from those input grabbers. This is the applying stage. It's going to get what action it currently has and add it to this variable which we have in our save game. And this is the actual value. This is the value that has those and you can see if we go to the default value down here, you can actually see it's got our defaults. I've added a few things. So there's F, which is the key we were using last time. And then I've added two other optional keys. So a gamepad button and H. So in theory, when we press H, it should be able to do that. It'll just print a message on the screen. And so it'll get that. So firstly, it clears what's already there, and then it replaces it by adding the input values of both of those. At least in theory, that's what it's supposed to be doing. But it doesn't seem to be working as intended at the moment, which is what we'll be figuring out. And then after it does that, it does its save stuff and all that. And then it goes and does a loop for each of the axis mappings, and this is what actually applies the map to the input itself. So this doesn't save or load, this is just telling the engine, hey, remap this key. And that bit, I'm pretty sure, works fine. It's just tricky with the... what is it, like, yeah, it's just kind of tricky with this system I've got with using an array as a input instead of just a single one. So you can see it still returns none, but we can reassign the first key, which is good. So if I press like U and press U, you see it prints a message saying test action activated with U. And that was the debug message I set up last time. So it's just, I want it to also happen with whatever ends up getting chucked there, which it doesn't. Which means it's not, the applying isn't working, and loading by extension wouldn't be either, because there's nothing for it to really load. So yeah, I might clean up this too while we're here, because this is kind of a mess. And that's, but yeah, it's basically like, it's basically 90% of what I do is just scrubbing my blueprints, so to speak. I actually don't know what this was for, to be honest. Maybe I forgot to plug this in, I don't know. Yeah, I was just kind of fiddling around earlier, so all of this is like, I don't remember it fully, but it was a test, I suppose. Now, for this, I don't know what this is going to be. But I guess we'll plug that in. But there's all these blue lines going somewhere. I don't know where it's going. I guess that's... Can we... Okay, we can just go and move that over here. Oh, it's okay. So, yeah, okay, those are a bit straighter. Okay, that makes a bit more sense now. So it's when it loads, it'll get its save game, get the actual value of this test input thing. I actually might move this down over here just to save me having to use that redirect node. And then when that happens, it gets the array of stuff. I think this, what is this? This is the drop downs. Oh no, not the drop downs. I keep calling them drop downs. The input selectors. And it goes through each one of them and sets its action mapping value to the test input. Actually, that's pointless. Actually, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I think I'll keep that. I think we might need that. And then, so it sets the action mapping, and then, which is a variable in that input grabber, and then it sets the selected key to display, which is this. It's a converted from an input map. It's kind of complicated how they have to break and make it, but that's how they want it done. So, yeah. So I don't know. I guess the loading should be all right. It's just the applying that kind of has me worried. I might try another print string. See if we can return all of the return values, maybe. So add that to the loop body, I guess. And for each of those, we'll see if we can break it and get the key from that, and get name of that key and just print it and see if we get anything from it. So yeah, I don't know what will happen, but I just want to see what it's actually. Okay, so none. Oh, it's because there's nothing there. Okay, interesting. Okay, I think I've just broken it. That's not good. So now it's not even. It must have been something I'd done here, maybe. Maybe if I just skip that for loop, because I think I. Alright, well that's doing, so F, F, and none. Why is it showing F twice? Why is it doing that twice? That's interesting. And it's not getting that A at all. Okay, interesting. I'm just reading through the chat. To answer Boom's question, how long until the next devlog? Hopefully not too long. I'm optimistic that within the next... wait, what is it at the moment? Okay, I'd say if we're really lucky, maybe next week. And if not, then maybe by the end of the month, I'd say. We'll have the next one. I think this is the last little thing I need to do, is figuring this out. And then all the settings will be up to scratch. And for those wondering what's going to be in that update, if you couldn't make it for the last stream, we do have infinitely more options than these I'm showing. We also have audio settings with volume mixers and all that, and those all work. And then there's video settings, which were the really hard ones to do, but those all completely work. So it means, well, yeah, one of the reasons I did this is because I'd imagine a lot of my audience are from the ages of like 16 to late 20s-ish. And I'd imagine quite a few of them might want to play this game on like a school laptop, for example. And it's kind of hard to do that when it's an Unreal Engine game cranked at max settings. And I have no idea what kind of hardware most people are running anyway. So that's the whole thing kind of started from me wanting to add these graphics options and a way to change the resolution. And then it kind of became, might as well do the whole menu, and here we are now. So the majority of the framework and heavy lifting is done. There's just a few things left to do, and this is perhaps one of those last things. It's just getting these input maps to work. And if we can have like an auto-populated list of all the game's inputs here, plus a few other things like mouse sensitivity, then I'm gonna be a happy jolly guy, and we'll have a next devlog and a new update. So yeah, thanks so much for your patience though, guys, because I know that these sorts of videos are very hard to make frequently, especially when you're the only guy on board running the ship. So I really appreciate all the patience that you guys, the viewers, have, because I imagine a lot of you want to see more frequent updates on it. So, but I'm doing my best. So here we are streaming, and you can actually see me, you know, you see what I'm doing live. So hopefully that'll be a good filler in between the devlogs, so you guys can see what leads up to it. But yeah, I'll just see if there's any other questions while I'm thinking. Oh, cool. Some of you guys have been following my blueprint stuff. That's awesome. If you got, yeah, I'm always really happy to hear when people learn things from this. I learn stuff all the time because I have to get it made. But it's cool that other people can learn from the many trials and errors that I make. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, if you have, feel free to pop any questions whenever you want. I'm gonna try my best to keep my eye on that chat window. But let's figure out why this ain't doing what I want it to. So it's returning one of these twice for some reason, which I have a bit of a so yeah, it's printing that first key twice, which I'm really confused about because it shouldn't be doing that. That's really weird. Maybe if we get the actual, maybe if we get one of these, and then, I don't know, let's try one of these instead, see what happens. Okay, it still does the exact same thing, interesting. So at least we know that there's nothing wrong with the setting value down here. So this is the thing I had made. There's nothing wrong with that if it's printing the same thing as the actual direct hard reference. So that's interesting. It must mean somewhere here we're screwing up. But where? I don't know. I'm curious. I'm gonna make this a variable, see if we can just... While I'm thinking, I can probably make this thing more efficient by making the horizontal box a value, and then we will get its children. Get, there was something I did in another widget about automatically getting children. Just think, let's say for example's sake, I want to add a third one or a fourth one or only have a single one. I would be able to do that without it breaking by having this reference disappear. So I'm gonna see if I can just make that better while I run some, I don't know, thinking in the background to figure out that other problem. Because I guess, yeah, sometimes when you can't figure it out, it'll just kind of come to you. So I'm hoping that we get one of those magic moments. Okay, let me go and find something, because I've done this in another thing. It was a test. No, it wasn't one of these. It was, I did something where I got child count, or I cast to the children. Oh, it might have been in my actual menu, so I'll go and look at that. So this is the actual widget for it, by the way, and it's got this nice little streamlined set of instructions on it, and it does something in here. Oh, get all children. I think that's, yeah, that's what I want. Get all children. There we go. So I should be able to do that. And then for each of those, we are going to cast to do one of these. I think that's what I want, at least. So I should be able to get rid of that. And then maybe, I don't know, do something like this. Yeah, that's more like that. Except I gotta move everything to fit that in. Oh, actually, yeah, this would make sense, because then this whole thing will then loop for every child that is of that kind, which I think might fix our issue. See, I told you so. Yeah, it's as Bob Ross would say, it's one of those happy little accidents that, well, we don't know if it'll work yet, but I have a hunch it might, or it'll help us in some way. Just gotta remove everything about. Squeeze that there, maybe. Actually, I'll get rid of this top bit for the moment. We'll just leave that blank, because I'll probably need to change it heaps later on. So we'll just leave that up there. And then there's all this stuff. I wonder how we're going to manage that. So I guess I don't know, we don't need that then. Let's get rid of that for the moment. Actually, we'll put this in again. So I get a hunch that we'll have to do something where, so we're now going to treat them like singular inputs, I guess, because actually no, it'll depend on the array index. It'll need to use that somehow. So I guess we'll drag this value. I don't know what we can do with that at the moment, because we want to set an element of that. I know what you can do with an array. Make array keys. What is that? Maybe not. What else can you do? To array. Oh, it's a set to an array. That's not what we want. Maybe we'll have to use make array somehow, I'd imagine, or add. I suppose add, actually, that's what we would want. But before all that, we need to clear whatever's in there already, because we'd be overriding it with a new value or replacing it with its default. Because for those that weren't there last time, this true path up the top, this is the resetting to default check. And you see there's a little tick box asking to apply it. So it passes down a variable through it. So if I call apply and tick the box in that event, so if I If I go event apply, oh, I don't want to, if I call it, if I tick this, it'll basically reset it to the defaults. And if we do want to do that, it'll set it to a set value that we can determine. But otherwise, we want it to set it to whatever's being captured by that input grabber, which is essentially the framework for all the settings I've been doing. I'll just quickly hit the chat window again. Pixel error. How long have I been using Unreal? Great question. I think it's, I don't know. It'll depend on when I made my first devlog, I think. Which was, if someone wants to double check this, I'm pretty sure it was in May of last year. So it's almost a year. Or maybe it was a bit later than May. But I'd say almost a year-ish, just from prototyping. Because I did fiddle around with it before I made my first video. But yeah, I'd say about a year I've been using Unreal. Just teaching myself how to use blueprints mainly. So I don't know any of the C++ side of it. And there's heaps as well I don't know about it. But yeah, blueprints though I've been getting the hang of, and that's been pretty cool. So I want to add from an array. So I want to get test. So, oh no. What did I call it? Test input or something? Test input. Because we essentially just want to add to that. Oh wait, what was I? I was going to do something before. I was going to remove all from it. So I might do that before this branch. And I don't know, we'll do something like clear. I think that's a thing, yeah. So again, yeah, it's not straight perfectly yet, but whatever, it's okay. And then with that, we can move that down there. We add something to it. We want to add the value of that, of these children. So we'll need to get this. Now we can use this thing. Get, what did I call the variable? Get key. Get key selection text. Get input. What did I call it? I gave it a variable and I called it something. Let me check variables. Get action mapping. So this is going to be supposedly that key that goes in that we capture. Supposedly. And we also set it up here anyway, I believe. So it sets it to, actually that doesn't even run. I don't know what this is doing actually. I don't know. Now I'm worried. I can copy that. Because yeah, it's kind of, this is probably one of the most complicated settings I've had to make because it uses two input fields in an array, not just a singular one. So it's a bit of a challenge. So I guess we'll just copy these and then do something to it, I suppose. I don't know, I feel like this should be the right thing, but I really don't know. I guess we'll experiment and find out. Which will be fun. So let me straighten those. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll... Okay, we got some errors going on. Up here. I guess we'll skip over that. Okay. We still got to worry about this half too. So I'm not... Let's read through. So when we apply, get the children of the thing that I've put those input grabbers in, cast to the actual selector component of it, get its action mapping, and then get the save game and get the variable for that actual input, and then clear the variable, and then if we're not applying it, add whatever's captured into it instead, and then save it. Now that might work, but the challenge next is this next bit, which is actually setting the input, because we haven't filled in this field, which we'll need somehow. How are we going to do that? I guess we'll get... Can we get the save game? We might be able to use that. Wait, this is getting confusing. I feel like I made a variable for the name of that input somehow. We should be able to maybe get that, perhaps, using this array element. So we want to get name, get action mapping name, which should work. We might need to space this out a little though. And I'll need to sort this little guy out here. So I don't know where we're gonna put him. I don't know. He kind of has to flow somewhere. So I guess we'll wedge him in between these two nodes and pop him there. I guess that's all right. Not the best, but something. Yeah, that's good enough. Well, all right. Let's maybe try running it now and see what happens. Oh, hey, Insulin. I think that's your name. Welcome to the stream. Yeah. I don't know if... I have no idea if YouTube actually notifies people when a channel starts streaming, so yeah, forgive me if I didn't advertise it enough. And now, it seems our system is completely broken, so I've done something weird. It's not saving any keys now, so that's interesting. Do I use Blender? I do. Although I don't use the latest version, because I have the... I think I got it on Steam, and I just use whatever Steam has. So I think I'm using 2.79 at the moment. But yeah, I did a lot of character work the other week, so I'm kind of glad I get to take a break from Blender for a little. Because yeah, I had to make a character in under a week, and if you guys have been following my channel, you probably would have seen that week in the life video I did. And that was exhausting doing all that, but it got done, which I'm happy about. And I'm happy that I won't have to touch Blender for a little bit, hopefully, and I can just focus on this stuff. Alright. Okay, I literally changed nothing. I was just cleaning up blueprints, so why am I expecting this to work? Well, where could it be going wrong is what I'm wondering. Maybe this is when the completed node should run. I don't know. I don't know what'll fix it. Let's just try one of these. Does it even... It won't reset either. None. It's returning none. Oh, now it's returning stuff. Now it's returning D. Or whatever I'm gonna do T and U. So it's returning something sometimes, but it's not always printing, which is really weird, but it doesn't load. Oh, Billy. First time to catch 2 streams from one person in a row. Great. That's awesome. I myself I don't usually watch a lot of live streams, if I'm going to be honest. I'm usually just working on stuff. But yeah, I actually have no idea what it's like to be a live stream viewer. So hopefully it's cool. Hopefully you guys are enjoying things. And just watching me bang my head against the wall at this. Because I guess that's the best antidote. If you're working on something and you're stressed, just go watch someone else screw up for a while and you'll feel much better. Alright. There's something, I don't know what I'm going to do about this little setting. Because this is working weird. What am I going to do? So it's doing a loop for each child of an input selector. So we haven't used this yet. I'm feeling like we got to use that index somehow. Excuse me. Because, yeah, basically... Well, I don't know. Let's try, Maybe it's because this isn't being set. I don't know. Let's head over to, Let's head over to, what am I looking for? I'm looking for something. Okay. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the... Oh, I have it open already. This thing. Oh, it is setting action mapping. Okay. Because I wasn't sure if this was happening. So maybe we'll test it somehow. Because, Or maybe we can get rid of that. Well, that's one issue. We need to plug it in like this, because it was only setting, it wasn't loading correctly for both. It was only, technically it was only loading the first one. So that's an issue that's fixed. But what comes next? So get save game, get the test input, get an index from it depending on the depending on which input selector is being used, and then break it into an input chord and set the whatever we have to the, yeah, okay, so that might work better. Let's see what happens if we can set it and load it. All right, what's printing sometimes? Oh, it's printing the first one. Huh. Well, that's interesting. Well, that's weird. It's loading the second one into the first one. What the hell? Okay. Sure. And I should probably add events for the second boy as well. Because I've only got the first one here. That's actually... So this might help too. So we'll just copy that, I guess. Ooh. Where did I... Oh, I lost it. There we go. So that will allow us to auto apply the second input grabber, which is a big, we must have that. So that might have it so we don't have to click the apply button. And for those that didn't join last time, you can see that in my settings, I've got an apply button down the bottom. Not every category will have that though. The audio settings, for example, don't, and that's because typically with those sorts of settings, they should just apply when you change it automatically. But the reason you typically do an apply button for the video settings is because if you change the graphics quality and it auto applies, it might crash if you do it like too frequently. So that's one of the reasons you have an apply button there. But in this case, I have it there just to test it. And I can hit apply. It should now, both of them should now apply automatically, but it still has that weird glitch where it's loading the second one in the first one, which is weird. Oh, cool. We got your boy Marcus Tutorials in the chat working on his own Unreal project. Hell yeah, dude. I hope that works out for you. It's always cool to meet a fellow developer. I'm gonna be saying a lot today, I think, while I figure this thing out. So we cast to it, get the save game. When do we stop using that? Oh, we kind of use it everywhere, don't we? Well, maybe we'll disconnect that at the moment. Just have it so it's at least saving the value and loading it, and then we actually worry about it being mapped later, I would say. So we might move that print string around somewhere else. Put it here maybe. And what is that? Input key selector. Action mapping. And we'll just try and, I don't know, do something like this maybe, just to test it. So we'll just return a string of key names it'll have. That's the idea, at least I think. So that, it'll print something a bit more useful, hopefully. And it just ignores this, because this won't work at all. So none and none, okay. D and W. Interesting, it's printing the second one first, each time. Fascinating. But yeah, while I'm working on this, if you guys have any quick questions for me in regards to anything related to the game or game dev, feel free to shoot them in the chat. Shoot your comments there or your questions, because yeah, I get a feeling I'm not gonna really solve this in one sitting here, so I might do a few more streams throughout next week maybe to see if we can figure this out. But it'd be great while I am here talking to you guys to, I don't know, give you something valuable to take away, other than just me suffering here, banging my head against my screen. I'm just reading Extra Tone's comment. Why not print the keys when they get saved? Well, yeah, that's what I've just set up here. So after they get saved, they'll basically print the save value of this. And this proves two things. It proves that it actually is saving, because it's not reading it directly from the action mapping slot, it's reading it from the setting. So we know that the setting itself is actually, it's reflecting its proper value. And it's also, well, yeah, I guess it's just a substitute for this bottom bit, because that won't work until I figure out the rest of this. And oh, I must have left something unplugged. Aha, I can skip that. So, it should, well, it's kind of loading. It's saving at least. We know it's saving, which is good. So W and S, and if I go back, it'll put S. So it's saving, it's just not loading correctly. So I might go up here and have a look at load and see what's going on. So for each child, cast to the key selector and set its selected key depending on its array index. Well, this is interesting. What is actually the array? I don't know. Let's have a look at our project settings and our input. Let's have a look at what the actual... Oh, it's a none at the moment. Oh, well, that's expected because we're not touching that. But what is this? Is there a way we can view the setting? Well, actually, no, we can. It's printing that string for us. It's only going to show us the default value here, unfortunately. But we are printing it, so it's like... Huh. It's all very interesting. Because we want to... so we are getting that setting. And from that array, we are... maybe we should print the index next to it. That might help. So let's give that a go. We should be able to append this string and give us the actual name of the key plus its index, which would be handy to know. And I don't know what that'll give us, but hopefully it's something useful. So it should print a number next to each input now. So both of them are 0. Okay, so that's why. Alright, so it's not distinguishing them, which means maybe it is saving after all, it's not working. It's because we haven't used this. Alright, so how are we going to do that? Can we add at a specific point to an array? I'm curious. Index. Last index, remove index. Goddamn. Actually, let's check the docs, maybe. Add to array at specific index. Array nodes, working with arrays. Contains. That might be interesting. Not sure where it'll lead us, but it'd be interesting. Okay. Oh no, that's not quite what we want. Add item, which we have. Filter array. What does that do? Oh, it just looks for a type of actor. Find. Interesting. Guess. That might be what we want. I don't know if we should get a copy or get a ref. I have no idea what the difference between those are. I guess a ref or whatever, I don't know, or whatever we have here, I guess. So you want to be able to get... Oh, okay, maybe this will do it. Something like this. Yeah, that might do us. Pattern maybe. So we're gonna get this specific index and add, I don't know, yeah, well that could do something. Alright, well let's see if that changed it. It's returning none. That's worrying. Yeah, okay, we broke something. So, so cast to it. Oh. Wait. Oh, because we clear it. Okay, so, okay, I see what's happened. So we get the cleared array, which index at whatever it is, which will return nothing. Okay, so we still need this. Gotta add it. But we need to use that index somehow. How are we gonna do that? Oh. No. Oh, I think I see an issue. Another issue. No, maybe I don't. I don't know. Because it was loading the right key just then. For some weird reason. But it's both of them are index 0, and that can't... No, that's not right. They both can't be index 0. Which means it's overriding it somehow. Oh. How is that index 0? How can they both be index 0? Maybe we'll run a print on... Well, we kind of do that already, actually. Set array element. I'm just reading the chat. Oh, that might do something. Oh, I had no idea this existed. Oh. Oh, this might do it. Maybe. Alright. Well, let's give that a go instead of this add. So, target array. Plug that in. And, so we'll plug that in. And we'll get the index. Ah, I can see this working. And then item. Let's try that. Not printing anything, but... Alright. I get the feeling... This has everything I want, from looking at the nodes, so I feel like there's something I'm not doing right with that. I wonder what. Because, yeah, so set array element. I feel like the size to fit is a good option, because I think it should just, well, if true, the array will expand. Well, we don't want to expand it, so that's good. That'll prevent that from happening. But there's still this, it's not doing anything now, which is worrying. So set... Maybe we'll just skip the clear part and go straight to the branch. Let's see how that goes. Still not printing anything. Why is it? It's not even getting to the print, which it must be something I've missed. Because it's the exec lines go there. Unless there's. Let's try another test. Will it print? Oh, it doesn't even print the other message either. Well, that's... Why? I'll put this down here maybe. We'll make another alternate timeline down here and see if we can work something on it. Because I don't quite get what's going on up there exactly. So we'll just put everything down here. And we'll loop it at the array element. Oh, wait, maybe we do need that, actually. Or, I don't know. Actually, yeah, maybe that is right. Did you try turning it off or not? No, but I think it's going to take more than... Actually, the game developer equivalent is, did you try playing it without changing the code one bit? That's usually how we test things. So, you know, Let me follow the exact, because it's apply, blah, 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 but it's not even getting up here, like, at all. And I don't get it. Maybe here, I don't know. Alright, well, it's getting, it's must be after this, it's not happening. Because that's the thing I added. Oh no, it's working. Okay. So why the hell is this not going? Maybe it must be there somewhere. Let's try this. All right. Well, now it's printing. Interesting. But yeah, I'll probably spend another maybe 10 minutes trying to, or 20 minutes or so trying to figure this out, and then I might call it a night, because I have to be up early tomorrow. But I thought I'd just show you guys a bit of progress while I was up to things. The array size, oh, that's a great point. I might check the array size. How do I do that? Actually, I could figure it out. Length, okay. Let's just, like, I don't know, print its length. And what do you know? It's 0, which is weird. Maybe we do have to click, let's try ticking that on and trying. Oh, okay, well that's now doing something. Okay, we're almost, it looks like it's getting there. It's assigning the last one, but not the first one. Why? Maybe I have to, I don't know. Try this. No. Or, I don't know, maybe one of these. Because it's doing the last, it was doing the last one only. Okay, now it's not doing any. Alright, so not this. To answer your question, Lituru, if I'm pronouncing that right, do you find it difficult to make games alone? Absolutely, but I find working with a team and getting the right people is even more difficult. So I take the lesser of two evils, and I do those for very specific reasons. And I know, yeah, a lot of people might say this is actually a good discussion to have if you have like game developer friends. I'm more of a lone wolf kind of guy, and I'll just kind of do everything myself. Mostly because, I don't know, to a degree I can, at a great cost, but I can. And I like the idea of taking responsibility for the project, so if it fucks up completely, it's my fault completely. And if it does well, it's also my fault completely. With the team, however, from my experience, I don't have a lot of team experience, but from the little I do have, it's incredibly difficult to manage a team, or at least I find it that way. My strengths lie more in the skills, like the soft skills of, you know, doing the editor stuff, programming the game, doing the art, the animation. That's where my strength is. Teamwork isn't really a huge strength of mine, mostly because a lot of the people I have worked with in the past, not all of them, but the fair majority just, I found, went up to the task a lot of the time. And it's, I don't know, it's probably because I have really poor social skills generally, so I probably don't know how to look for the right kind of person. I've been very lucky though, I have worked with some amazingly talented people on this channel and in my past experience, but they are very rare. And if I'm going to be putting this much on the line for a game, at least for this game, because this is sort of my passion project, then I want to make sure it goes the way I want it to completely. So yeah, it is difficult though, because it means you have to do everything. But I like doing everything. It's really fun. Like this, I know I'm super tired and sleepy at the moment, but I enjoy the process of this, which I find I'm very lucky that I do enjoy it, because if I didn't, then I'd probably be more inclined to work in a team. But luckily, I do enjoy basically everything about the game development process, like designing, programming, 3D modeling, texturing, animation. Like, I really enjoy doing those things, and I enjoy executing on a very clear and articulated vision. And that's one of the things as well I find isn't very common, is that a lot of people that I've met through studying and through teaching, a lot of the people I've met, at least, they just don't have that passion, and they don't have a vision for where they see the game going. Or they might, and sometimes people do, but it's usually not the same as what I might envision, or someone else might envision. And I've had a lot of past experience and a lot of struggles, like months and months of struggles with teams that just didn't have a unified vision and having a project collapse. Like, I've worked in teams of like 20 people or so on a single game. Not fun. Not fun at all. It's just like, it's so shit. That's what my experience has taught me, at least. And again, it's not because of the dev at all, it's just because of the people. So that's why I tend to just take everything into my own hands. And I know for a fact that if the game breaks, it's on me, and it's on me to fix it. And I kind of like having that assurance. So that's just my preference on it. But I'm sure there's many of you out there that maybe feel the same, or maybe do enjoy working in a team. And if you do, that'd be great to hear about, because I'd like to hear some positive team experiences, because I've had way too many bad ones. But yeah, to answer another question, Lituru, which is the best engine? There really isn't a best engine, I don't think. It depends on the individual. But I suppose there's an inherent assumption there that there is an engine to use that is best, which I believe there is. Because I will say the best option is to not make your own, because that's a lot of damn work. And if you're one guy making your own engine completely from scratch, and you know nothing about, like, if it's your first time doing it, it's like, don't do it. If you want to make games, don't. If you want to make engines, go for it. But if you want a game to be done, I would just use an engine, any engine. It can be Godot, Unity, Unreal, anything. Just as long as you're not trying to do it completely from scratch, then I'd say you're good. So whatever you're more comfortable with, whatever you're more skilled with, I'd say. Let's see what else you guys have to say, because I'm like kind of struggling with the blueprints here, so I might just interact with you guys a little. But yeah, self-accountability. That's a good thing to take away from my team experience. But to put it in context, it's my experience doesn't come from, like, a lot of it was from student times. So I haven't worked with a large amount of industry professionals. So that's probably, you should take that with a grain of salt. Maybe professionals can manage things better, but from literally every team I have been in that's larger than 2, it's just been horrible. Almost every time. I'd say there's maybe one team I worked in that had 3 people. And then a few teams that were just me and another guy. Those have been great experiences, but anything above 2 or 3 has been absolutely horrible for me. And again, it's not even because of the project scope, it's just because of the people, which sucks, because it's like, all I care about is the game. I'm not really a whole fan of team politics and all those things. It's just a waste of time, and that's usually where things lead to, because you'll have, it's the team dynamic mainly. And I don't thrive at all in team dynamics environments, because there's always going to be that, there's a lot of archetypes, you could say. There'll be the guy that tries to take complete ownership of the project but does 20% of the work. There'll be the guy that only shows up once in a blue moon. And then there'll be the guy that, I don't know, there's those sorts of people I find that keep reappearing. It's like the same character but in different people. And there are a lot of them, and I don't like being in those situations. So, yeah. And those kind of decisions, because you got to make a lot of decisions in games. And if your team doesn't know what they're making, you're not going to be able to make any decision without a shit ton of arguing and a lot of wasted time. So, yeah. But do take it with a grain of salt. Again, I'm probably quite jaded from my own experience, but I'm sure that there's heaps of positive stories out there. But I'll see what you guys, I don't know what you guys reckon. But yeah, as for engines, it's like, yeah, because I see there's an engine discussion going on. I really don't know what's the best. Like, I've used Unity and Unreal. Those are the 2 big ones. I used Unity for about 9, almost 10 years now, and I've used Unreal for less than a year. And I will say that I definitely prefer Unreal. The advantage of Unity, there's more resources. There's more people like Brackies making tutorials for it. However, I find with Unreal, there's just a bit more care put into the systems, and I think it is more capable as an engine because it needs to be, because Epic Games made it and they use it for their own games. And it's like, you know it's going to be good if they've used this thing to, if this had to make Fortnite and be that good for a mass marketed game, it's like, you know that it's like, for example, the multiplayer system. Fortnite's built completely around multiplayer. How cool is it that you can use the same framework and systems of Fortnite's multiplayer system in your own game? I think that's pretty cool, because you already know it works, because Fortnite's such a big thing. But you take Unity on the other hand, there's no real, it's hard to really point to the game that was made in Unity, you know? Like, a lot of people make tutorials and content for Unity, but there's no, like, mascot game for Unity, and that's because, understandably, a game studio didn't make a Unity. It was a team of software engineers that are now called Unity Technologies. So that's just from what I've speculated and seen, and just from my experience in both engines. Again, I've used Unity. It's a great engine. I've used it, again, for 9 years, a long time. Back when it was like Unity 3.2, so a long time ago. It was good. But I would have wondered what it would have been like to start with Unreal. I'm really curious, because kids nowadays have it so much better than I did when I was like 11. Like, this Unreal 4 didn't exist when I was 11. It was, maybe UDK3 existed, but it wasn't very public. Like, you didn't hear much about it. So I would be very curious to see what starting in Unreal looks like. Oh yeah, Kerbal Space Program. That's like a Unity game, but it's like, yeah, I don't see a lot of AAA games that are like made in Unity or boast that they're made in Unity. It's usually, yeah, because usually companies use their proprietary software, or most AAAs just use Unreal actually, because BioShock, Dishonored, all those games made in Unreal, a version of Unreal. So yeah. Oh, Cuphead was Unity as well. I had no idea. That's cool. But yeah, I'd say just try whatever. Like, try them all. And then, like, spend a month just trying them all if you weren't sure. Like, do a tutorial on each one, and whatever you prefer, just stick to that one. And you'll make something good doing what you're comfortable with. But yeah, anyway, I should probably try and see if I can fix up a few of these blueprints, but I'll try and keep an eye on my chat window. I do know that I think Ori was made in Unity 2, actually, Ori and the Blind Forest, and that was a great looking game. But it was made by Ubisoft, or one of those studios, I believe. Alright, well, good news is that this setting is it's saving the second key, but not the first key. So that's interesting. Second key. Oh yeah, yeah. Unreal's like, well, firstly, here's another thing to consider. Unreal's been around a lot longer than Unity. It's been around, like, Unreal is as old as me. It was made in '98, and it's been used to make a variety of games dating back to Unreal Tournament in the '90s, one of the first first-person shooters, I think. And well, yeah, the engine was basically built for Unreal Tournament, which is a first-person shooter. So if you're going to make a first-person shooter, that's basically what Unreal now is built for. And you'll see it when you start using it. You'll find that a lot of the systems just are intuitively tuned for that sort of thing. And they've also made it super flexible, so you can practically make anything with it. Like what I'm trying to do. But yeah. Yeah, so for those that are doing first-person games, you'll probably tell, like, it just feels like it was... It's like that Hulk meme where he's like, it's like I was made for this. Because you do feel that when you use Unreal for a first-person shooter. And it gives you a lot of starter content compared to Unity as well. But Unity also has a bigger marketplace. So yeah, there's highs and lows for each of them, but... Yeah, it's just, I mean, yeah, like, we could talk all day about which is the best engine. I don't think there is a best engine, but I think there's just a best for an individual. So, for me, I think it's Unreal, after using Unity for 9 years. But that's just me. You've probably, there's probably people here that use maybe CryEngine or Godot or Game Maker Studio. Those are the main ones I've heard of. Even Scratch. I've seen people do really cool shit in Scratch. Like, you got no idea. I've seen people make Slender in Scratch. That's pretty epic. So yeah. So that's the sort of stuff I've seen. I'm just wondering why this doesn't completely work. I'll get rid of some of these prints. Maybe I'll just increase the time for that. So it's printing the right things, but it ain't loading the right things. So maybe it is saving correctly. Let's have a look at our loading. Oh, let's just try it. I don't know, I'm just trying stuff out here, I guess. So it's setting them both, which is good, but it's just not getting the right thing. Maybe we'll do something like this. I'm gonna check the array length on load instead and see if it's I'll just see what happens. So it should just return the array size on load. And it's 2, which means there is something in both of those arrays. Let's do it from completed so it's not printing duplicates. Okay, 2. All right, but it's returning index 0 is none. So it means index, it's either it's not getting loaded right or it's not getting saved right. Set array element, what do we got? Let's double check this. And that's happening in the for each. I feel like we should be executing this on the complete. Let's see what happens. It's index 1y, but it's not returning anything for index 0. Now that's an interesting issue. Because it's like it's not even getting to 0, it's just going straight to index 1. Now it goes to 0. Let's because I'm getting a little confused by these prints actually. Let's maybe append and add a message before some of them. So this will return the amount in the array, so we know that the array is not empty, and we'll append something here too. Because this is, what is this getting? This is getting the display, the key name. So index, and then the index number is, and then the index name. See what we get. So index 1 is none. What? Wait, let me go back. Loaded. Oh wait. I gotta make those last longer. This is interesting. So basically, it looks like there are 2, but it's only loading 1. So loaded 2 inputs. Okay, so we know that there's 2 things in the array. But index 1 is none. So it's not even telling us what index 0 is. Why is that doing it? Oh, let me just check the chat, because I'll probably head off soonish. So I'll just see if you guys got any cool discussions going on. Tits, to comment on Insulin's comment, you don't really need to know C++ for blueprints. But would it help? I think it would, definitely. I've only had, in the year I've been using Unreal, I've had maybe 1 hindrance from not knowing C++, and that's pretty good, because it means you can basically do 99% of what you want without having to touch code, or like type code at least, which is, to me, that's good. That's pretty alright, like it's as good as it gets probably. But yeah, I'm not going to go out and say that its blueprints is better than C++, because it basically is C++ if you look into it, but it's a lot easier to use. But if you want to learn C++, you get a lot more power, but you have to spend infinitely more time learning it. And yeah, for me, time is important, especially as a one-man show. So for me, it's like, all right, well, I'll just use blueprints because it's saves me having to be a full-on programmer as well as being a full-on animator and a full-on designer and all that. So I try and take the most efficient kinds of shortcuts where appropriate. Luckily, the technology for it exists, really, because that's pretty lucky. Like, imagine going back to the PS2 era, because you'd have to know assembly code to compile for the PS2, and that's pretty damn hard. So those guys are damn wizards. Like, I don't know if anyone's looked into the behind the scenes of the first Crash Bandicoot game, but they basically, to get the game to run nicely, they had to basically hack the hardware for the PS2, which was interesting. And then I think Sony was upset by that because they didn't want them hacking it. So they put another team together to rival Naughty Dog. And they couldn't get anywhere close to what Naughty Dog were doing, simply because they weren't allowed to hack the hardware. So that's just, I thought that's just amazing. But it is cool to see like the ease of access be a bit more easy, I suppose. Or what am I saying? Yeah, it's better that, I think it's really lucky for us that what is it? There's an expression for it. The level of entry is a lot lower than it was like 20 years ago, and I'm super thankful, because otherwise I would have had to go to like uni for like 7 years or something to learn how to do all this. But luckily, there's technology. But yeah, it's a very common question I get asked in the streams, it looks like, about what engine's better and all that. But yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm just reading the suggestions. Yeah, it's only, well, in my mind, it should just print the result, but I'll try going back, because I think I was using the loop, but it was duplicating the first index, I think. But let's try it. Okay. Thanks for that suggestion, mate. So index 0 is still none, which is, God, that's worrying. It's deeply worrying. Let me try that one more time. So index 1 is D, yes. Index 0 is none. Loaded 2 inputs. So there's 2. Okay. Well, thanks for that little tip. That's at least printing index 0. But it's still not assigning. Okay, so that's not the issue. It's down here. It's not assigning index 0. And why not? Yeah. I really like Scopey's contributions to the chat this evening. This is basically 90% of game development. It's like, oh, this didn't work, let's try this. Oh, this didn't work, let's try this. And then after 100 times, it starts working, and it's like, oh, cool. And you don't know why it does. And that's the best part. Because then when you want to do it again, you'll have to make all the mistakes all over. Now this is interesting. So for each cast, get save game, I'll move this out of the way because that's throwing me off. So we're not resetting it. I'm gonna worry about resetting it later. But if we want to set it, you want to get the return the oh, wait a second. Maybe we want to do the save game after we cycle through these. That could be why. Let's try that, shall we? So we'll do this over here. Oh, Jesus, what are these? Oh no. Oh, whatever. Let's put these over here, maybe. Get the save game first. So we'll clear it out first, then we'll get the children. That could be why it was happening, maybe. And then we do a cast. And we'll do a branch to check if it's going to get reset. And if it isn't, which is what we want, we're going to head on down to... Let me get rid of these and replug them. What's that? Hold on, what's this doing? Oh, wait a sec. I hate when there's like overlapping lines. It gets so confusing. At least that, oh no, is that what's happening? Maybe not, I don't know. Okay, so cycle through them, branch it, set the array element to the currently cycled through selector, get the action mapping from it. I might try, I don't know, shot in the dark here. Maybe it doesn't, I'll just keep using that then. Set array element, what's this coming from? That's coming from over there. And that's using the test input array from the save game. So it's setting the array of that save game to the index of whatever the action mapping is. So I feel like that's where the issue is, but I can't, it's not blatantly obvious to me yet. I don't know, seeing as we've rearranged things, I don't know, let's try. Maybe just putting those back to front might have fixed it. Oh, hey, what the hell? It works. Holy crap. Well, hey, maybe that was the problem. Holy crap. Well, yeah, this is the eureka moment, when it's like, you don't understand why, but it works. Well, that's interesting. So now, okay, index 0 is T, index 1 is D. Hell yeah. Okay, that works the way I expected. So now in theory, what we should be able to do is press either of those buttons and have it print a string, and that's not working, which I'm worried about now. Let me double check something. Oh, I know why. It's because we didn't solve the okay, so it's saving and all that properly, which is absolutely excellent. So we can get rid of this now, and this, I think. I need to move some of these around, but we should now be able to do that last bit that we weren't able to do before. So I'm just going to plug it in first and just see what happens. So T and D, okay. Oh my god, that works. So if you were here for yesterday's stream, it basically, if I press that test input, which is currently mapped to T and D, it'll just print this string saying test action activated with, and then the key. So let's try it with D, and see how it says D in the corner? I think we actually got it working, like for real. Holy crap. Holy shit, we got it working. I can't believe it. It's just that blueprints look so messy, so we'll probably clean that up, but I think I might do that later. Let's just, wow, that actually ended up working as expected. Let's try it with another set of keys, just to be absolutely sure. Let's try with like thumb button, one of my mouse thumb buttons, and then like, I don't know, O. And we still have an issue where it won't apply it the first time you punch it in, which I will fix. But we can do it with O and thumb button. Oh my god, that works. Hell yeah. All right, cool. So I think I might leave it on a high note there. So let's run through what it does, just if you were kind of drifting off. Like, my brain's so foggy right now, but I'm going to try and explain what's going on. So when I apply, well, let's actually start with the loading. So when we load this setting, we'll get the save game, and there's an option called test input, which is that just a test, right? And that has an array of different keys, and I'll show you what that looks like in the variables. So you see here, it says test input. By default, it's mapped to FH and a game face button or whatever. And basically, what we're doing with that input map that I got working is that we're clearing this out, replacing the first two with whatever we put into those widgets. But anyway, so it'll get that value and set what's called I think it's an input key selector, which are these things, and it basically lets you input a key into it. So it'll get the variable test input, actually see what it is, and then it'll then cycle through both of those input selectors, and it'll tell it to set its selected key to the index, to its matched index in the actual setting. So for example, this input, this first one, that's index 0, that's index 1. And that's just what order they are in the child of this horizontal box. So basically, hey, if this is index 0, load index, the first index 0 of this test input key. And that works, which is great. And it does it for, it cycles through and does that for each. So if I do a third one, in theory, it should work. Maybe. I'm actually curious. Let's try a third one. Let's try adding 3 keys. I doubt it will work flawlessly, but let's just try it, because who knows? It might just work. We can probably get rid of that print string now. And so that'll do it. And then when we apply it, we'll get the save game, we'll get this, we'll clear out that setting, because we're going to apply it, new things to it. So we'll clear it out, and then we'll get the children, so those input grabbers, and we'll say if it isn't being reset, because that's very important, because if it is being reset, we're going to explicitly tell it what to set it to. But if it's being set depending on what's being captured, we then go to this branch. And this, thanks to, I forgot who it was that suggested that, but thank you. We're using the set array element, which gets the actual value of that input grabber and sets and fills up that variable with whatever the value of the grabber is, and then it saves it, and then it actually maps the input in the editor. So it actually goes to the input settings and says, hey, remap it to whatever we've put in, and then that's what it does. So I don't know if it'll work with a third one. I'm curious though. I'm gonna just set E, G, and then a third key, U, I don't know, and then I'll apply. Holy, it actually saved it, which is excellent. Let's see if we can actually... Okay, U doesn't do anything, E does do something, and G does do something. Alright, well, hey, it saves, it can save and load a third value. It just won't use it, which is interesting. I wonder if there's a way we can. I feel like there's a little thing we might have to do just to tweak it, and that'd be it. What do I? Why does it only work with... Because I remember getting rid of most of the things that explicitly told it to work with only 2. Very curious now. Maybe I'll try a different key. Like H. Okay, it doesn't do that. It doesn't print the string. But yeah. So it only, well, it works with 2, which is what we wanted, but I'm curious if it can work with any number of things we put in. I'm wondering if in the next 5 minutes I can figure it out, and if I can't, then it's all right. We'll do that later. So it clears it, adds for each child. Well, that all works. This all works. It's just this bit at the end. So it gets the action mapping, and for each test input, maybe I want to see what it actually saves in the test input. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it should kind of just work. But we'll see. I'm just looking at these couple graphs here I'm just sort of thinking quietly. I think we'll just try and print it and see what actually, I'm just curious. Oh, I don't want to. What am I doing? I want to split this up. Oh no, maybe I do need to do a for loop. Okay, let's take one of these then and break it into this, and we'll just get the key. I don't know, let's just see what happens. So it should just show us a list of 3. Okay, so it does return that list. Interesting. So it actually, those mappings exist, it's just not, can you add more than one key mapping? Maybe it doesn't let you, I don't know. That's interesting. why it's not letting me do that third one. That's interesting. Oh, I know why. Ah, it's actually, this is all fine. This actually works. It's because of this silly thing I did. I haven't actually told this thing what it's mapping to, which is important. Because each input mapping, I'll show you what I mean, right? So in the input, in the action mappings, each of these, if you hover your mouse over it, it's called an action mapping group. Now you can't make action mapping groups as variables, but you can make these in the action mapping groups. And each of these is a input, I forgot the name exactly, but it's a type of variable, it's an action mapping. So you can make action mappings, which is what I've done, but you can't make groups. So as a countermeasure for that, if I add a new one of those boxes, I need to tell it which action mapping list it's adding it to. In this case, it's that test input. So for the jump input, you just change that to jump and vice and all that stuff. And if we want to, we can set a default value, but we'll be okay. All right, well, it should just kind of work. Yeah, so we have E, Y, and J as our keys. So let's try E. Okay, that works. Y, that works. And J. And oh, that works too. All right, well, it looks like we got it. Looks like it works. So that means I don't have to touch the code for that anymore. I might clean up the nodes a bit, but that's done. So that means the next challenge, I want to try this maybe next time, and that'll be if I can auto-populate a list of those settings. So like, if I can auto-generate each one of these in the settings menu for each input in the input list, because I think it is possible, because watch this. In input settings, that's an actual function that will return the input settings. We can get action names. It will return a list. And if we print that, I'll just show you what I mean. And we'll probably get into this next time maybe, because I should probably head to sleep soon. But if we do something like this, and I don't know, we'll put this, I'll just have this do it, on construct, and watch this. It'll print out the list of every input mapping I had set up, and I know it only I'll show it for longer so you guys can see. So I'll print that for like 100 seconds. All right, so it has none, it has test, it has jump, pause, previous weapon, next weapon, everything I had in the engine. And if I'll prove it to you as well. So if I go over back to the inputs, action map, so it prints all this out into a list, and it has me curious. Can we do a for loop so that for each of these, we create a new one, basically what I've just done in that little for loop. So like for each action name, can we add one of these to it and have it map itself accordingly? I think it might be possible, but I think I should just quit now while I'm ahead and get to it tomorrow or something. So, but yeah, we got it working. So that's pretty cool. So that print string now maps to 3 different buttons. I didn't honestly think it would work with 3, but there you go. And in theory, you could dedicate one of those to a gamepad input maybe, which I'm gonna try and do as well. So awesome. I'm going to quickly just check the chat window because I'm sure you guys have some questions. Arvid, can't you use the same code for other games you'll make in the future? Well, hey, great point, because for those that weren't watching yesterday's stream, I kind of went into detail on it, but what I do plan on doing with this whole system, because this is big, this thing. Like, this is actually, I had someone in the chat yesterday tell me that I've actually got more settings than most AAA games, or some of them at least. Like, for example, I know that Crysis does not have an FOV setting, and I do. But yeah, it's big. Like, this was a huge undertaking. And I have thought about perhaps selling this on the Epic Marketplace as an asset so that instead of you guys having to do the months of work I've had to, you can just use what I've made. And, you know, maybe I can use some of the funds I earned from that for the game's development. I don't know. But yeah, that's something I'm thinking about. Because this would be super useful, I'd imagine, to a lot of people. Because who the hell wants to make all this, right? Unless you're crazy like me. And yeah, I kind of built it in a way, like the reason, I know a lot of people tell me, it's like, Ray, this isn't important. Why are you doing this so early in development? And one of the reasons is because once I make this, I can use this for any game. Like these video settings, literally, like you could put that in any Unreal game, like regardless of what kind of genre of game you're making, really, because every game will have something like that, right? Same with audio. These are pretty standard as well. And you have the freedom to make your own custom ones if you know how to use the widgets. And then with input, I'm hoping to just have that auto-populate with whatever inputs you've already configured, so that it just kind of works with your project and it's really user-friendly and nice. And because of all the legwork I've been doing, I don't know if you guys saw me do this, but if I go back to my actual settings menu, because I do have a widget for it, the actual settings menu. So it's made out of all these little components and pieces, which you've seen me work intensely in for a while. But if I go over to the actual menu for it, like, to make that, I just had to drag and drop the widgets I had already made, and each of them is coded, like we were coding this one today. Like, imagine the amount of work that went into all these other ones, because each of them save and apply slightly differently, because we wouldn't use the code we did for this for the FOV setting, because it's a completely different setting. But the idea is each setting is self-encapsulated and self-sufficient. So if I didn't want this to save and load an input, I can just delete it from the menu, and it won't. Right? And it just works with no bugs or anything. And if I didn't want FOV, I could just delete it and it won't do it. And if I wanted to add stuff to this menu, I could. If I wanted to add, I don't know, my motion blur setting, I could just drag and drop it in and boom. Now we have a motion blur setting in here and it works. And I sound like Todd Howard right now, I know, but it does. At least that's where I'm trying to get it to. It 99% works. At the moment, as I said earlier, the only thing that doesn't work are these, because they're a little sticky. But the sliders work, the drop downs work, these work, it all works perfectly. So, and you can even reset them to the defaults, which is epic. So that's my dream, really, because I don't want to have to do this again. I just want to do it once and then move on to the fun stuff. So if I end up doing another game later, let's say in like 2-3 years from now, when I finish this, and then I start working on another project, I can just take this in instantly. And the first prototype I have already has all these settings. And you can automatically change the input bindings. You can change the FOV. You can change the graphics quality. And it's just flexible and it works. And it's, you know, nicely done and up to a good standard. So, and if I can redistribute this through the marketplace so that everyone can use it, then that'd be awesome, because it's going to save, I imagine, a lot of you a lot of work. But yeah, so that's the big vision behind it, and I know it's completely derailed from the initial plan, which was to develop the gameplay. But I'm planning to go to the gameplay once this is finished, and this you're seeing it's almost done. It's just this is like the last thing, and then we've basically got all the settings we need, and then we'll get a new update. So yeah, do I have some regrets about it? Yeah, I do a bit. It took a lot longer than I expected, I'll say, and I think that's just a natural part of the development process. I was expecting this to take a week to do. I started doing this in March, so it's been 2 months instead of like a week. So yeah, it doesn't go according to plan, but I'm pretty happy with how it's been turning out. I'm extra happy that we actually managed to get this working as well, because I'm so damn happy about it. Like, check that out. It just works. It's just beautiful. And the idea is you could just drag and drop this into any project and it just does what it needs to. And that excites the hell out of me. So yeah, yeah, I know, I was pretty naive to think I could do it in a week. Yeah, my estimates aren't great. Like, I'll show you my Trello board. God, this is embarrassing. But here's my estimate. I thought 21 hours for the framework, which is maybe a day spread out over a week. It ended up, currently it's taken me 54 hours, and I'll add a few more to that, because it's been maybe 2 hours since I started streaming. So it's 56 hours now. And that's just the framework. That's not even counting the actual, these are the video settings, like just the video settings. That I was estimating 8 hours. It took 37 hours. Is the audio settings. That I actually managed to get done on schedule. I estimated 5 hours, it took me 4 hours. So that was a thrill. Input settings, which I'm gonna start filling this in once I actually add the in-game inputs, because I've just used a test input, which to me counts towards this framework, because the framework helps make this. But the framework itself, holy crap, that's taken a long time. And that's just all the back-end part, you know, like figuring out how I should go about making those settings. Because if you guys have seen previous versions of this menu, it looks so messy. But getting them to be all self-contained, like being able to come up with that was really difficult. And that was basically what all the 50 hours of this went into. But I've still got a few things I need to make, which will get done in due time. But yeah. So I guess we got some good progress made tonight, I think. How long have I been making games? That is an excellent question. If you mean like professionally or publicly, I released my first game on the itch store about 2 years ago, and it was like a student project. But I picked up my first engine when I was 11, and I'll be turning 21 in under a month's time. So probably like I've been passionate about just making games, professionally or unprofessionally, just doing the stuff, like doing stuff in Unity and Unreal for about 10 years now, I'd say. But yeah, a lot of it was mainly just, instead of doing my math homework, I would go home and make games in Unity, and instead of going to my classes, I would, ditch class and make games and all that stuff. And that was kind of how I spent my childhood mostly, but that's sort of leading up to where we are now. But yeah, it's weird because I'm not always quite sure how to answer that kind of question, because some people ask how long professionally, because some people only count releases as progress, which I kind of do sometimes and sometimes don't. But yeah, because I have released one thing, and I know it's not a lot for 10 years, right? But that's why I'm doing this, because I don't think I can really call myself a game developer unless I've actually made something, sort of thing. So I don't know if that 10 years of high school and primary school count, but I guess it did lead up to this, so maybe it does. Yeah, the 10,000 hours. A lot of people say that. I would say I don't know. I don't know how to count. I dropped out of school, so I don't know very good maths, but I'd say I've done a lot of hours on this. Do I prefer blueprints or code? I prefer blueprints hugely. Mostly just because with my specific skill set, it's very easy and it comes very natural. And I understand it's not the same for everyone. I understand that C++ and actual coding is infinitely more powerful, but I don't necessarily want powerful. I want efficient. And efficient can mean a bunch of different things to different people. And because I have a design and art background, blueprints, it's literally just graphics, and I'm very used to graphics, so I can think more clearly using them. And I don't have the issue of syntax, because I used to struggle a lot with that. And on top of that, Unreal kind of gives you a lot to work with, because a few years back I tried making my own character movement script from scratch completely in Unity, and that was really difficult, especially when it came to things like, should the character slow down when going up a hill? Should the character have inertia when moving with ground? Like, those things were really complicated, and Unreal kind of just does that all for you. So that's one of the reasons I do prefer Unreal and the blueprint system. But yeah, I'm not gonna trash C++ though, because I don't know anything about it. I don't think I really should have an opinion on it. But I do know from what other people have told me, it is very powerful. It's a very powerful language. It may even be the most powerful language. But I'm not really a programmer per se. I'm kind of an everything kind of guy. So yeah, and I think I talked about this yesterday. Yeah, a lot of people, even Unity, that's not real programming technically, if you look into it. I kind of do that rant every stream, I suppose. So you probably all know what my opinion is on that by now. But yeah. C++ is pretty damn powerful though, I won't deny it. It's just, because it's so powerful, I can't learn it, because I'm not that powerful myself at programming. But blueprints, hell yeah, I'm good with that. But yeah, I'm just scrolling up, because I think I missed a few messages. Just thought we'd just chat for a bit while my excitement just processes, because God, I was so happy we got that working. Can I just say that again? Like, I can already see, just from this setting alone working, how damn easy it's going to be to get the rest of them to work. But I'm imagining something has to go wrong, because it always does. So I'm just gonna be excited for now, and yeah. But yeah, you guys got some really interesting topics discussing at the moment. Just a talking stream, what I consider doing. Yeah, actually, that'd be pretty cool. I did do a Q&A video a while back. I think it was in my last devlog. It wasn't really a dedicated Q&A video, but I made the second half of the devlog a Q&A. And I've always been meaning to do another one of those, so I might consider just doing like a live Q&A sometime maybe. But it'll depend on the time zones greatly, because I'm in Australia. I know I don't sound Australian. I have an accent apparently. But yeah, I'll show you guys some gameplay. It looks like some of you guys want to see the gameplay so far, so I'll show you that. I'll go into my settings and full screen it, because I can do that now. So I'm just gonna show off this and check this out. Boom, full screen mode. I'm gonna turn off motion blur as well, because I know a lot of you guys hate motion blur. I'm gonna turn this up to very high, turn off motion blur, turn off VSync. I'm gonna set a frame rate limit. I'm gonna do my full PC settings, and I'm gonna up the FOV to the one I like using. And boom, here we go. Let's do some gameplay. So, yeah. So yeah, I've just been streaming at night mainly, because I think that's when most people are awake to watch. But yeah, I think I should experiment more. I know that afternoons is terrible, because I think when I streamed last time in the afternoon, there was like 5 people. So afternoon's not a good idea. Night seems to be pretty good. I think maybe early in the morning in my time zone might actually be a really good choice, but I haven't really been that disciplined to get up that early. But I'm working on that. Because for those that saw my week in the life video, I have a very, very poor sleep schedule. And that I am working on fixing, because it was affecting productivity hugely. Sleep is important, guys. Keep that in mind. Oh, you guys don't see the gameplay. Oh, that's weird. I guess OBS doesn't record it. Yeah, sorry about that. Let me get, if I go to windowed mode, does it show it? I've got no idea. Can you guys see it now? Because that was really awkward, wasn't it? Okay. Can you see it now? I have it in a window. Please tell me you can see it. Nope. Oh, god damn, that sucks. So that means every time I test it, you haven't been able to see me do it. Oh, now it works. Okay, good. Awesome. Good to know. So there's me doing gameplay. I'm gonna see if I can try and beat the speedrun record. I know that someone on the Discord has the record for all collectibles. I think in this level it kind of glitched. All the collectibles ended up deleting themselves because I restructured my folder, so this doesn't have any collectibles in it now. But I'm just gonna run around these walls. I do have a lot of ideas for what I want to do to the wall run. I'd like to do a cool thing to it. I don't think I've talked about it yet. But one thing I'd like to do is have the wall run on a time limit and have it follow like a movement curve just to make it harder. Because holding down spacebar is very easy, not much challenge there. So I want to add a bit more variety to the wall run after I get the settings done. And I've just had that idea bottled up for a long time, and I'm hopeful. I don't think it'll be that difficult, but you never know, it probably will be. But I'll be interested to get that in. So just reading some questions. Is this going to be like a speedrun game or an action game? I'm actually not sure, but I'd like to accommodate for both if possible, because I honestly, because after my last update, a bunch of guys who were into speedrunning picked up the game and started running their own little leaderboard for it, which I thought was cool. And I didn't expect it. And that's sort of the thing with doing a game, is that you never quite know where it's going to end up. So I don't want to say never to an action direction, because that's one thing I do like. The thing is though, yeah, because a lot of the games I've played, and for those that don't know me, I grew up playing a lot of Sonic and Ratchet and Clank and what else? I played Infamous. Those are some of my favorites. And a lot of those games, one thing they have in common is movement. Maybe not Ratchet and Clank, that's more of a weapons game, but I know Infamous, for those that have played the Infamous games, and Infamous and Sonic are very movement based. And I've also played Warframe and a lot of games like that. And yeah, I kind of just, I don't know what it is. Like even right now, like this is pretty fun for me, like just hopping on these walls. I just kind of enjoy moving. So I want to make that feel really nice. And I know it doesn't look spectacular yet, but I'm hoping that during the production phase, I'll get to add some epic animations and effects to this to really juice up the experience and make it just feel cool to just touch walls. And yeah, along with that though, there's action. And when I initially started this, it was going to be like a third-person shooter, and now it's sort of drifted into more of a movement platforming kind of game. And I'm not sure, like, with the shooting, because I kind of took out the guns because it just wasn't, compared to the movement, it wasn't as good. And at the time, I thought, all right, well, this isn't, like, it's, the movement puts the shooting to shame. Like, you can already tell it looks bad just from playing it. And I thought, well, I'll get rid of it and just focus on movement. And then maybe I'll bring it back later, which I'm still contemplating. Although, after playing a bit of Titanfall 2, I got some ideas about how I might reintroduce the guns. And because one of the big issues was aiming. It was really hard to do when running on walls, especially with this in a third-person game. And a lot of you might say, well, just make it first person. But one of my big priorities is a third-person game, mainly because of the, I have a huge background as well in character design. And ever since I was like 6 years old, all I would do was draw characters. And I have a lot of passion behind making cool characters and that sort of thing. So one of the big must-haves for this game was to have a coolly designed animated character on screen at all times. And that's mostly because, I grew up with Sonic. Sonic's like an excellent like, it may be a weird franchise, but the character design is excellent, at least for the main series games. And that always sort of resonated with me, and it came, I'd say, part of my identity almost, is being known to some degree for doing characters, because that's what I really love. So yeah, third person is a must, and you don't actually see a lot of third person wall run games besides Warframe. So I thought that would kind of make the game stand out. And also the character, I really like the character. I have a lot of passion behind this character, and it seems a lot of you two guys do as well, and that's really cool. And for me, it would just make the game so much more personal to have the character on screen all the time, so you guys can see what she's doing. And I know she looks pretty bad right now. Like, she's got this squiggled on face and all that. It looks terrible. But, that it's just a placeholder. Like, it's better than a capsule. That's why I made that model. But I would like to do a really nice one in the production phase. And it's all nice and animated. There's hair, there's a proper face and all that stuff. There's glowing bits and everything. It's going to be epic. But yeah, let's see what you guys think of that in the chat, though. Yeah, the Warframe wall run's pretty nice. But yeah, I will say though, this game is not going to be a battle royale, because yeah, that's not my forte. I mean, I enjoy battle royales; they're pretty fun. I kind of suck at them though, so I don't think this will end up being a battle royale. I'm more of a campaign story kind of gamer myself. So I want to try and see if I can make this a cool linear experience and maybe add some cool game stuff as well. Going back to the question about is it going to be action or speedrunning, one idea I've had is perhaps to make different modes of the levels, which might help with content, because I'd imagine, I think the speedrun community in particular would definitely want like a cool time trial mode, which is actually really easy to implement, and I've thought about maybe putting that in, and the game kind of does that already, but maybe having like a campaign mode that doesn't track time and then a time trial mode that does. But of course I'll need to make the game fun without time constraints if I want to do that, which means adding another obstacle, which could be enemies. And enemies, I don't feel like I'm 100% good with enemies, mostly because through my gameplay experience of Sonic, the enemies in that game kind of suck, if you really think about it. Like, you can kill them with one hit, they aren't that interesting. They look nice though, but they're not dangerous. And I don't know if that'll work in this kind of game or not. Maybe I'll have to experiment. But I don't think I'll have complex AI like Halo for my enemies for sure. But if I am going to have enemies, it'll probably be something along the lines of a hazardous thing that is, how to put it? Basically a thing that will be a barrier between you and the objective of the game. And if the objective is moving, then something that will stop you from moving. And that could be a turret that shoots at you and depletes your health, or decreases your speed, or something like that. So it won't be anything like Halo or anything, I don't think, if I'm going to do it. And it gets me wondering, if it's not going to be spectacular, then will I put it in at all? And I'm not sure yet. And that'll probably be something I learn throughout development. But those are just my thoughts on it, I suppose, if that's anything to go by. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying or confirming anything, but that's just my thoughts at the moment. I might go back to the first level while I'm chatting, and I'll probably wrap up soon, I guess. But while we got you guys watching, I thought I'd just answer some questions. Do I model in ZBrush? I do not. I have before once while I was a student, and it's kind of tricky. I really need more sculpting experience, which I'd like to do, but I do have a lot of experience in box modeling with Maya, 3ds Max, and Blender. And I think Blender does have sculpting tools, so I'd be interested to learn how those work and see if I can make something cool. Why did I quit? I'll keep just collecting these and running around and stuff. Actually, I could probably increase the resolution without it glitching. Yeah, you guys can probably see that better now, hopefully. But yeah, if I was to add shooting back in, I'd probably do something like auto aiming or something like that, because I've had that suggestion a lot from a lot of the people that watched episode 6 of my devlog, and that was one of the big suggestions, was like auto aiming. So I really want to think about doing something like that and seeing how that works out. I think it might be interesting. Oh, cool to hear that from Arvid. You're going to be learning ZBrush. Be prepared though, it's kind of tricky because it's not actually a 3D program. I know it looks like one, but it has this weird pseudo 3D technique that took me ages to get my head around. But apart from that, it's pretty damn cool from what I've used of it. For me, in terms of development though, because as an indie, there's things with licensing we have to watch out for. And that's one of the reasons I use Blender and not Maya. I really love Maya. I used to teach Maya. Maya's really awesome, but it's expensive. And Autodesk are really, really, really uptight about licensing. So I get the feeling I shouldn't use that for an indie game or with a student license for a commercial purpose. So that's why I've been using Blender. And I don't know what the deal is with ZBrush, because I'm not familiar with the company that makes ZBrush, but I do know that Blender has a sculpting suite and has tools for it, so I'd like to give that a go and see how that works. But yeah, a story-driven campaign is definitely something I'd like. It sounds so stupid when I say it out loud, because every student that ever told me that they were going to make a story-driven campaign, I just think in my head, I think, God, that's a stupid idea. But I'm really excited about trying that for this game, because for those that watched a video I did a while back, I was talking about the backstory of the character, and I think it might have been for my 10K special. I was talking a little bit about this character's backstory. And yeah, basically I came up with this character a long, long time ago when I was a kid, inspired by all the games I used to play, and I kind of just over the years developed a world and story for these characters to be in, and it was just basically a remix of everything I had played. And if I found something cool in a game, I wanted to make my own version of it. So if I played through the Sonic 06 story, for example, I'd want to make my own version of it, which totally didn't happen. But yeah, that's sort of what I'd like to try putting into this game, because I have ideas about the world and story of this character. I just haven't really written them out and fleshed them out yet. But that'll be the thing is, I really would like to do that now, but it's a trap to do it too early, because again, I do have a game I need to make. So to me, the importance is mostly on gameplay and things to do with the game directly. So the back end, which is all the setting stuff, and the gameplay. I know I don't manage all of those priorities perfectly, but I do know that story should not be a priority at the moment. But I really want it to be soon, and I'm excited for when that will happen. But yeah. So basically, yeah, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, thieves, because it looks like a V, but at least, I don't know. Let me know if I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, what you said, gameplay first, then story. Yeah, I know that there's some, I don't know, I feel like I've heard of a studio that did story first, but I can't remember which it was. But I've heard plenty of studios like Nintendo and all that go with gameplay first and story. Especially like Halo. I'd imagine Halo definitely got their combat loop programmed and sorted first, then worried about the story. Oh, it's pronounced like Dallas with a T. Dallas. Oh, I think, okay. I think I get where you're going at. to answer Arvid's question, are there other people working on this, or is it just me? It is just me. It's just me working on it. And I talked about that earlier in the stream, about me and teams. I'm more of a lone wolf guy. I'm not really a huge fan of teams, because, I don't know, I'm just very particular, you could say, about who I can trust and who I can work with. I've worked with some amazing people throughout my time, no doubt, but I've also worked with plenty of really bad people that, well, not bad. I shouldn't say that. It's not bad, but people that just didn't really share the same vision. And I don't want to waste those people's time. Like, I know there's probably heaps of people that would want to work on this sort of thing, which is great, but, you know, in my sort of circumstance, I was around a lot of people that wanted to make games, but they didn't really know what kind of game. They just knew they wanted to make it because we were all enrolled in the same course, for example, and you kind of have to do it to pass. And in those sorts of scenarios, and I know take it with a grain of salt, because my team experience is mainly from student projects, but most of the people I worked with there had a completely different vision from me with games they wanted to work on, and when you're in that kind of scenario, it's just not going to be a good game because both of you want different things out of it. And it's a lot better when you've got two people that have the exact same vision and will work towards it cohesively. But if you don't have that, it's a lot more of a hassle. And that's why I work alone most of the time, because if I had to choose between working with someone who liked games but didn't really have a passion for this, because that's one of the things I kind of ask people. It's like, why this game? Why not any other game? And most people I've met don't know. Like, the students I study with, they didn't know what kind of game they really wanted to do. And it's like, all right, well, why should I expect them to work for my project? They don't know what they want. They may want this, but I get the feeling they'd be really excited for the game if they did. So I don't want to waste their time with something they don't want. So that's one of the reasons I just don't really... I kind of steer clear from the team stuff. But yeah, when it's other projects though, like if there's reasons for me to do something and it's good for collaboration or something like that, or I'm doing a part of a project that I'm happy to do, then the teamwork usually works pretty nicely. But yeah. Is the presented HUD finished? No, it isn't, but I think I made this HUD a few updates ago. It doesn't use this new framework I've made for the settings menu though, so I do want to reskin it and change it. One of the big things I might do is make the timestamp huge, because that's really small and everything's kind of off to one side. So I might center the time and maybe get rid of the score, because that doesn't really do anything. And maybe the collectible, I don't know. I'm going to make some tweaks to it. But yeah, the Quinn effect, to reply to your comment. If you're super invested in a project, it's harder to get other people involved. Because yeah, why would they, like honestly, like the thing that goes through my head is why the hell are they going to give a shit about my game? Because it's not their game. So I don't want to put that weight on them, because it's really difficult. Making games is really hard. And I don't want to be the guy that expects, it's like, here's my vision, I expect you to work just as hard as me on it, because I'm going to set myself up for disappointment, and I have every time when I do that. So at the moment, I don't know what will happen in the future of this project, but at the moment, it's just me working on it, and I imagine it's going to stay that way for a while, because, yeah, I mean, I couldn't even, like, managing a team is a lot of work as well, and that's, for me, my strength is not in people. I'm a very introverted person. So yeah, it's like, okay, what are my strengths? Okay, I'm really good at the actual work stuff. So maybe I shouldn't invest time into trying to manage a team. That's just my mindset on it. But of course, for another individual that is a bit better at making teams and making friends, you might have a better time with trying to get a team together. And I've had a few people reach out to me before putting teams together, and that's great. Like, if that's what you're good at, go for it. I'm just not that kind of guy. I'm not good at doing teams. I'm good at the work. So yeah, I guess that's my take on it. But anyway, I should probably start. It's getting a little late here, so I'm probably gonna start wrapping things up. But yeah, it's good to chat. It's great to see what kind of questions you guys have, because I mean, I don't really, yeah, as I've just sort of gone on, I'm not really a people kind of guy, so I don't really get to interact as much with people. But I'll answer some last minute questions. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do I like live streaming? I would say about an 8, 7 or an 8, mostly because I'm very inexperienced. I'm very new to it, and I know that there's a lot of things I need to do better. And that kind of is a constant anxiety in the back of my head, because each time I make one of these, I'll go back and watch it, and it's like, oh crap, I talk too much here, or whatever. So that's always a thing that's there, but I do enjoy it because it's like doing what I normally do, except I get to talk out loud at the same time. So I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, I enjoy it because it's doing what I love and talking to people that are kind of interested in it, which is awesome. But yeah, thanks so much for sticking around and watching, guys. I appreciate it so much. I'm just gonna check to see if there's any questions I missed that people want answered. I see a few @Raymond Cripses in the chat. Oh, okay, I've answered that question. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that well with speedrunning this level at the moment. I'm just kind of half focused on the game, half focused on talking. But oh, did I fix the crash? No, I have not fixed it yet. And I'll tell you why. Well, firstly, for those that weren't here yesterday, the game doesn't compile. And I know it seems like a really bad problem, and it kind of is. Where did I put it? I think it's in build. So the game won't open. That's a problem, it won't compile. From the research I've done, not a lot of people have had this issue, but here's what comes up when I try and launch it. It comes up with an error code. I've run this through Google a lot. Not a lot of people have this issue, but from the research I've conducted, it might be caused by a folder restructure I did of the project about a month ago. I kind of went and changed all the folders around. I did try fixing redirectors, didn't help, unfortunately, but I get the feeling this is what's causing it. And here's an interesting thing. You see, this level looks pretty normal, right? There's because all of these widgets, I moved the location of that in the project where these are stored, and it still loads them in the scene, but the actual log is showing something else. So, how do I view the debug log? Output log. I think that's it. Oh, maybe not. Message log. That's what I want. Message log. So if you go to I think it's map check, or maybe not. Play in editor. Oh, no, it's one of these. I'll try reopening the map, and I'll show you guys the kind of errors I get. I don't know if it'll come up actually, but basically it'll say that it's still looking in the old folder directories for the assets, and it's failing, but it's still loading them in, which I find really confusing. So I get a feeling that all I'll need to do, I think there's something wrong, not with the files, but the pointers of the files in Windows, and it sounds like a really niche problem, and it is. But I get the feeling if I delete the folder, I of course back it up to my repository. I'll delete the folder here and then re-download it from my repository. I get the feeling that'll fix it, but I haven't tried it yet. But at the moment, my priority is getting the features developed, and usually I worry about building after. I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but that's how I think about it. Because in my head, it's like, I could fix this build problem now, or I could fix the features that are already being done late. So I'm going to work on those and worry about the build after that. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird problem, but I'll probably fix it sometime next week, I'd imagine. But for me, because I can run the game in the editor and test the features I'm doing, then it works for me. But when I get to distributing and building, then I'll worry about that issue. I get the feeling that that thing I mentioned should fix it. And if not, it means I just have to rebuild the level, maybe, and that should do the trick. And if that still doesn't work, then I'll be in for a fun treat. Yeah, I'll try deleting System 32 as well. That'll definitely work. But yeah, I'm glad you guys are enjoying the stream. I think we've got a lot more people on than yesterday, so yeah, I can definitely sense there's a lot more interaction, which is great. I'm glad you guys enjoy it too. But yeah, bug hunting is a game in itself, in a way. Yeah, I'll probably just save everything and close things down. And yeah, I think we might just call it a night. It's starting to get a bit late, so awesome. 29 likes, 29 views, hell yeah. Awesome. Does it compile if I use a different starter level? Actually, I haven't tried that. I'm curious now. I might actually give that a shot right now and see, and then I'll probably head off. Game startup map. Oh, it starts with main menu, which I don't know. We'll try example map, and we'll try compiling it. I don't know. This might work. If it does, that'll be really hilarious. Because I've had this issue for a few months now. Well, I don't know. It might work. I don't know. We'll see. How long does it compile? Well, I guess we'll find out right now. Less than a minute, because I don't have anything complex going on. I'd imagine though most near finished projects take like maybe I don't know, half hour to compile. Maybe I don't know. Mine doesn't take too long at all though. But yeah. Oh, Extreme. Yeah, thanks so much for the help with those arrays, man. I really appreciate that. But yeah. Oh, we have a dislike on the video. Oh no. Oh, I better just stop YouTube, guys. One dislike. What are my PC specs? Good question. I actually think I might have them memorized at this point. Intel Core i7 7700K CPU. I don't know if there's another spec that goes along with that. But yeah, Intel's Core i7. What else do I have? NVIDIA GeForce GTX 980 with 4.2 gigabytes of VRAM. Oh yeah, the CPU. It's like a 4 point something gigahertz, I think. Or, I don't know, something like that. 16 gigabyte DDR3 RAM. 500 gigabyte SSD and a 4 terabyte HDD. Windows 10, as you can see. And I don't know, are there more specs? I think that's most standard PC specs. It's graphics card, processor, RAM, VRAM, operating system. I don't know if I'm missing anything. How many hertz? I think it's like, it's one. No, it's like it's either 2 or 4. I can't remember exactly. Maybe I'll find out with this little baby. I should probably have looked at this. That's in one stat I don't remember. Oh, 4.2 gigahertz. Okay, so there's your answer. All right, well, let's see if, because that's compiled, let's see if it runs. That's gonna be funny if it actually works. Holy, it actually works. All right, it actually compiled. What the actual hell? Well, I guess it's changing the game startup map fixed it. That's so damn weird. Well, whoever suggested that, you've just fixed a problem I've had for months. Thank you so much. Holy crap, I did not expect that to actually work. Well, what do you know? So now I can... I don't know if you guys can actually see it, because I don't know if it has that weird problem where it doesn't show my gameplay. But yeah, it looks like my main menu is broken. That's the problem. This map's fine. Let's see if I can exit... I can exit to the main menu, and I can open level 1. So, what the hell? Oh, that's so weird. I'll probably find a fix for it. And if that doesn't work, I'll just change the startup map, I guess. So yeah, game development. There's game development for you. I'll change the full screen mode, and I'll change some of these settings too. So I'm gonna go to very high, turn off these things. Let's actually test, because it should run better now as a compiled build. God, what a weird... I did not think that would work, in all honesty. But what do you know? Alright, PC time. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, it's probably... I don't know, it's probably some weird thing happening with the main menu, it looks like. But yeah. Oh my god, that like works. That's pretty cool. Alright, well, yeah. Yeah, well, I guess, yeah, sure. Anything's possible now. But yeah. Alright, I should probably head to bed. I've been saying that for the past 10 minutes. So can we have an update tonight? Maybe, well, I still want to finish those input settings, but we'll have it a lot, at least I know that that's fixed. So maybe by, I don't know, what day is it? I want to say possibly by Saturday next week, depending on how things go. If I can somehow work hyper efficiently, then yeah, it might just work. I don't know. And if not, then definitely by the end of the month, definitely. So it won't be that long. We're already more than halfway through the month, so yeah. Because I still have to record and edit and actually figure out what I'm going to say in the video. Because I'd like to I've kind of explained these settings and everything throughout the devlogs, but I'd like to have one concise video where I explain the whole thing, like in a very well-written way, because I'm just kind of explaining off the top of my head. I'd like to actually script it and explain it in a very good way. And yeah, that's sort of what that's going to be after I do the update, of course. But yeah. Oh yeah, I'd appreciate if you guys haven't tried any of the builds yet. I actually do have a link to the latest one in the description. So if you guys want to test it out and give me feedback on it, I'd be really grateful. And if you want to leave feedback to me, you can either leave a comment on one of my videos or join the Discord, which is also linked in the description. I have a specific chat for game feedback, which you're all welcome to join. So if you find any bugs or you manage to, I don't know, have an idea for something you think is cool that I should add, then go to the Discord, leave a suggestion. I would appreciate that a lot. But yeah. Anyway, I think that we'll call that a night. So not only did we get, holy crap, not only did we get the input settings working, but we got it to actually compile. Wow. All right, we made some good progress. Anyway, I think it's time to wrap it up, boys. Thank you so much for joining. Link to my Discord and the build is in the description. Devlog coming definitely by the end of the month. And yeah, honestly, I thought this was just going to be one of those streams where I just fiddled around and nothing happened, but we managed to get quite a bit done, so I'm really happy. Right, so I'm just checking the chat window. I could just keep this window open all day and just watch you guys chat, but I really got to go to bed. I got an early start tomorrow. In Australia, we have to do a thing. I don't know if it's in other countries, but we have to do this thing where if you want to be a fully licensed driver, you have to go through L plates and P plates, and then you get a full license. I'm going for my P test tomorrow morning, and I've already failed it twice, so hopefully third time's a charm, and I'll be able to drive anywhere I want without having my parents there with me. So yeah, that's my morning tomorrow. So hopefully that goes well. And if it doesn't, then whatever. I'll just keep practicing, I suppose. But yeah, cool. I should definitely go to sleep. I will say that with driving, I wish I did on at 16 like you're supposed to. I'm 20. But hey, at least I'm not 30. Like some people I know. I know people that are 34 and haven't done and are still on their L's. So I'm glad I'm not them. Not to shit on them, but better late than never, I guess. Oh, there's always motorbikes. That's true, but I'm not that kind of dude. I'm not that edgy. I play Shadow the Hedgehog, but I'm not that edgy. But yeah, if you haven't got your L's, you should probably do it. Like, I'm not a huge. I'm not into cars myself. I don't understand a single thing about cars. Driving also in my area of Australia really sucks because nobody plans the damn roads properly, but it's a handy skill and I really wish I did it when I was younger. So yeah, do it as soon as you can. You won't regret it. But anyway, that's my sign off message. Learn how to drive. Anyway, I'm going crazy. I gotta sleep. But yeah, thanks so much for joining in, my dudes. I appreciate it a lot. I don't imagine there's anyone's watching who isn't subscribed, but in classic YouTuber tradition, if you haven't subscribed, make sure to hit that button, smash the bell icon, so if you see me live streaming, you get notified. And yeah, I'll see you guys, I don't know, next time I stream or next video I upload. So yeah, it's great to hang out. I'll catch you guys later on. Have a good evening, have a good night, have a good morning. Love you guys. Peace out.